G'day from Australia and welcome to another episode of the Grey Nomad Knits. My name is Jill and I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia, where it's the middle of winter at the moment. But today is a beautiful sunny day. I was almost tempted to film this outside, but it's still a bit icy cold out there this morning, seeing as there's no clouds in the sky. So I decided to do it from my craft room instead. So for those who haven't seen my channel before, my name is Jill and I love everything to do with knitting and crochet, and I love to sew as well. And I've also started up my little online shop to sell some of the things I make, and I'll tell you more about that later. The title, The Grey Nomad Knits, nomad of course refers to nomadic. We love to travel around in our caravan, although we haven't been able to much this year because my husband's been waiting on a new car. We upgraded our caravan to a bigger, heavier one, which meant that we also needed to upgrade our car. So thankfully the new car arrived yesterday. So we're planning our first trip away in a couple of weeks, just for the weekend, and it will be really lovely to get away in our van again, and I shall certainly be showing you some photographs. You can find me on Instagram as JillyMG60 or on Ravelry as JillyMG. And if you like this video, I'd like you to give it a thumbs up and press the subscribe button if you like. I'm a little bit croaky. We have finally succumbed to the dreaded plague in our household. We were supposed to go down to Denmark just over a week ago, or probably 2 weeks ago now, and the night before my husband tested positive to COVID and he was pretty miserable, had a really bad cough, and then the next night I started to feel, so we couldn't go obviously. The next night I started to just have a bit of a ticklish throat. By the time I woke up on Thursday morning, I was very suspicious that I had it as well. I didn't bother doing a rat test because my husband's rat test was negative, but his PCR test was positive. So I just went straight down to the testing clinic in my car. You don't have to get out of your car, and had the test done there. And I got my results back that night, which were positive. So we've been isolating for a week. I only had a very mild dose. I just had like a very nasty head cold for a couple of days. I've just been left with this croaky voice. Hubby has had a very bad cough with his, but he is much better now and he's actually gone back to work today, which, yay, gives me peace, freedom and privacy to record my podcast. So I hope all is well in the world of knitters out there. You may notice I'm wearing something that I've finished, but we'll talk about that later. First thing we'll move on to is works in progress. I've got a bit of a tale of woe. Look at this beautiful bag, and I can't even tell you who made it now. I think a lady who made this doesn't actually make them anymore, and I can't even remember her name, and there's no label, so yeah, I'm not too sure, but I just love it with all the puppies on it. I decided to knit a pair of socks. So I had looked through my stash. I've got so much sock yarn in my stash and it's time to knit some of it up. And I came across this beautiful yarn. I should have taken a photo of it in the skein, but of course I didn't. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's koigu yarn. This is it here. And this colourway is so beautiful. Now I've got my blinds open and I'm facing the window, so I'm hoping you'll get a better idea of the colour. Now I always think that this yarn that's quite busy just deserves a nice plain stockinette sock, but I can't resist putting a bit of pattern in. And I decided to have a go at creating my own. So I went through my Japanese stitch dictionary, this one here, and I can't find you which one I used because I didn't mark the page, of course. But this has got so many beautiful stitches in it. And what I did was I just took a middle panel out of a much wider stitch pattern so that it could go up the sock, just one on each side, opposite sides on each sock. Oh, of course, I haven't got the chart here. 1 minute and I'll go and find it. Right, so what I did was I just took a photocopy of the chart and enlarged it. And I'm not going to show you all of it, but you can just see some of these symbols are very similar, but they're all slightly different. So I colour-coded them all. And then I copied the page at the front of the book that's got all the massive key. There's about 3 or 4 pages of it. And highlighted with the same colours. So you can see how there's like little they look like fish, don't they? These are actually like little cables. But each one, see, is different. Well, for a start, they go a different direction. But see this one? It's got the 2 dashes and then that little like slopey dash. But this one has the slopey dash but only 1 dash, so they actually do a separate thing. I started it and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, if it was too busy for the yarn, but I'm absolutely loving how it's turning out. So what I'm doing is just going with my own sock thing. I've done 20 rows of rib, and I knit the leg of the sock for about 15 centimetres. So this is the back. And look how pretty this yarn is when it's knitted up. And I've done a twisted rib because most of the pattern uses a twisted stitch. So I did a twisted rib to match in with it. There's a bit of a ladder there, but I think when I wear them, and you know, you're not going to notice that. See when it stretches out? I'm using DPNs, and I've got a bit of story about these, which I shall tell you in a minute. And this is the side where the pattern is, and look how pretty it's looking. I've just got a marker on. When I start a sock, I can never remember which is the front side and which is the back. So I stick a marker on there, but of course I don't need it now with the pattern on the front. Oops, just let me show you. So I think it's actually, even with this busy yarn, I'll take that extra needle out there, that's just so I don't lose it. It's working out so pretty. So you get this lovely pattern, and see all the twisted stitches up here? Then you have this little lacy bit in between. Really nice, and I'm so glad I stuck with it. The pattern would extend for the whole, you know, sock nearly, but I decided just to do that small panel. So I'm really enjoying that. I decided, and I've done the heel flap, so the next thing is to turn the heel. I like a heel flap and gusset because I have that quite wide instep on my feet, so I do find them easier to get on and off, and they fit my foot really well. I do like to do a short row heel when I'm using stripy yarn, when I'm wanting to do a contrast heel, but for these socks I'm not going to change colour. I'm going to use all this because I want to use as much of it as I can. So this is one ball. I had 2 skeins, they were 50 grams each, so, and I hand wound these using my new Noster pin, and I think they came up really good. I'll show you the other one over here. And I did them as a centre pull ball, and they're as tidy as when you cake them up on a machine, but I think it went pretty well. I just wanted to try it to see how it went, because sometimes if I'm just winding up a small amount, I can't be bothered setting everything up to do it. I can just grab my Noster pin and do that. But anything I think more than 2 skeins, I would use my equipment because it takes too long. So yes, that's my socks. So yeah, there's no pattern for those. Just, you know how you knit socks. You just knit them to your own feet and to whatever suits you and whatever length suits you. So normally I would do my socks on magic loop, but sometimes I get a bit fed up pushing the cable backwards and forwards. So I decided this time, no, I'm going to use DPNs. And I'd actually been to a local shop here in Perth, and bought this beautiful set. I treated myself to this beautiful set of DPNs, and look at them, they're gorgeous. And look at this beautiful case, and you've got this flap here and this flap here so that you don't lose them and they don't poke through anywhere. I don't know if you can see something funny going on in here. If you look at this one, look what happened. I'll take it out and show you. I got about halfway through the rib on that sock and it just completely snapped in my hand. Okay, I'll put them over there so you can see. Look at that. So I hope it doesn't happen to any more of them. I have emailed the shop where I bought them and didn't hear anything back. So I rang them last week and they have received my email and they're trying to decide what to do. So I'm not sure if they're going to refund my money or get me a new set. I really just want this one needle replaced. And maybe they've contacted Leica to get that replaced. I don't know. But if I don't hear anything in another week or two, I'm going to ring them again. Or I may even go over there. I couldn't go over there at the time because I was in isolation. I may even go for a drive over there and take them with me and see what we can organise. They're very good at that shop and I know they will help me out to get it sorted. But, you know, it was over $100 this set of needles. It was a lot of money and you don't expect that to happen. So I've gone back to using my good old Knit Pro DPNs and they're working like a dream. You know, the set, a single set's like $5 or $6 or something ridiculous, and they are perfect. So that is my socks. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the progress on my Phoenix blanket. Oh, I'm so loving this. I just want to work on it all the time. And it's getting hard to show you now because it's getting so big. But because it's getting so big, each round takes a long time and I can normally only get through maybe 1.5 rounds in an evening. But look how it's looking on the edge now. It's so pretty. I'm doing one more row of this grey and then I'm going back to this mauvey pink and that'll be the end of this grey. I'll just hold it up a little bit. I'm not going to show you too much because when it's all finished I'll do a proper photo shoot then. But you can see how lovely it's looking and I'm just loving how that pop of lilac comes in. And it always amazes me when you photograph these things. The striping looks so much more pronounced. When you see it in real life, the striping is much more subtle, much more of an ombre effect. So that's how it's coming on. I'm really happy now. I haven't had to look at the video tutorial for this for quite a few rounds now, and I still need to look at the tutorial notes when you're doing popcorn stitches and things like that and cluster stitches to make sure I don't get them mixed up and do the wrong ones. But on the whole, I'm finding it so much easier. I'm knowing where to put my crochet hook in and where to end the round. I always still mark the beginning of my round with a marker so I know exactly where I have to slip stitch into at the end of the round. Just going to have a sip of my tea. My tea I buy from a place in Tasmania called The Art of Tea. I'll put a link to their shop in the show notes. Their service is wonderful. It gets to, like Tasmania, for those of you who don't know Australia very well, it's a very big country and Perth's on the western side. Tasmania is the little island at the bottom over on the eastern side. You know, it's like 3.5 hours to Melbourne and then another hour to get down to Hobart. So it's quite a long way away in a plane. It's a week if you're driving. So for it to get here within 2 or 3 days is amazing. This one I'm drinking today is Tasmanian raspberry green tea and it's really delicious. It's one of my favourites. My other favourite is their blackberry tea and the other one is their choc mint tea. which is beautiful. If any of you know the Arnott's mint sliced chocolate biscuits here in Australia, it feels like it's got the taste of one of those. So you get the beautiful taste without the calories, which is always a good thing. Okay, I have started a new jumper. I'm so excited. And it is, I ordered this kit some time ago. In fact, I ordered it back when I was working. I think it's time to get it out and start it. And look at the lovely bag it came in. I love Marie Wallen's things. Just beautiful. Now, I'll find the pattern card and show you. Now, this is her Wild Rose. Oh, look at that. And her beautiful model, Georgina or Georgiana or Georgie. Now, this is actually a tunic top. And you can see it better here. But a tunic is not going to suit my shape, especially as it's clingy a bit. So what I've done is I've omitted this band and this band, and I'm doing the waistband, and this is the first band of colour that I'm doing. So that'll make it just a nice length, I think. And I'm using Marie's own yarn, which is called British Breeds. And it's a fine blend of wool spun in Devon from Blue-Faced Leicester, Exmoor, Wensleydale and Zwarbles sheep breeds. Now, when I bought this, I thought this yarn would be prickly and itchy, a bit like the Norwegian yarns. I can't believe how luxurious. It's like knitting with silk, but also very strong. If you can see, it's quite a loose spin. And look at all the halo on there. Can you see all the fuzz? Now, I Googled some of the sheep, and one of them has got really long hair, and I think it might have been the Wensleydale. I'm just going to check for you and have a look. It is, and their hair is really crimpy. Look at this. You can see that okay? Aren't they just beautiful? And I might be wrong, but I think it's there. Look at this one. See how long it is? And it's like little fine tassels almost, isn't it? I think that might be what's giving it this beautiful feel. I might be wrong. Someone who knows more about sheep than me would be able to tell me. But there are so many lovely colours. It also came with these knitting needles, but I'm just decided that I need to use the drugs I'm on for my shingles make me forget the words I'm trying to say, so please forgive me. The long cable. You know what I mean. I've started it. Now before I show you, I have decided to change it a little bit. As I said, I'm not making it as long, and I was scribbling around with the schematics a bit. So in the original one, it comes in at the waist and then out. Well, as my hips are always a bit of a problem, I've decided to take the number of stitches here and the number of stitches here and work with that. So it'll almost be like an A shape, A line. And then I worked out where to do my decreases using my mathematics skills and my calculator. And I'm hoping it's going to work out. This particular kit I bought, I think you can get larger sizes now, but this one only went up to a size large. And I've decided I'm going to go with that, but I haven't done a swatch because, as you know, I have totally changed the way I eat now, and I am still losing weight, and I intend to lose a lot more. And I want something that by next winter, or the winter after, depending how long it takes to finish it, is going to fit me really nicely without being baggy, without it feeling like it's falling off the shoulders. I love the fit of this, by the way, and I'll talk about this in a minute. So I've dived into this without swatching, but I've done a lot of maths. And just by looking at the size, I've also decided I'm doing it on a size bigger needles than what Marie recommends. And I'm going to do the sleeves on even a next size up needle, which I know will give me a looser fabric. But as you all know, I have problems with my arms, and I think that might just help. Can't really increase the stitches because it will upset the colourwork pattern. So I'm thinking if I just do it on a larger size needle, but then I'm thinking the sleeve cap will be the wrong size. So I'm thinking from where I knit the body up to the underarms, from there on, I'm going to knit that on the same size needle that I'm going to do the sleeve. And once I get the sleeve down to sort of around the elbow, I'm going to put it back to the smaller size needle. I've seen Andrea do that on Fruity Knitting, and you really can't even notice the difference. So there's the lovely band. And as you know, this takes ages because I cannot grasp the concept of doing colourwork knitting in two hands. So I'm always carrying the yarn and dropping it. And I've just started with this band of colourwork, so I haven't got very far along yet. I put a marker. The chart is in two separate pieces, so left side and right side. And I decided I put this marker in the middle so that if I get to that marker and something hasn't worked out quite right, I've only got, that'll be at the end of the first chart, I've only got half the stitches to unpick and work out where the problem is. I'm sure you know what I mean. I'm battling to get it all out today. But I'm just loving it. It feels so soft and so luxurious. So this is her yarn. And it's just gorgeous. And I've managed to pull the centre so I can knit and keep the ball bands on, which I love. But there's so many lovely colours. I'll just show you 2 or 3 of them. Just look at these. Oh, I've got 2 blue there. I'll put that one away and get a different one out. So many beautiful colours. I'll show you a bit closer. You can see the lovely loose spin or ply, how the strands are plied together. I'd love to know how. I think this, oh, I'm not sure where she gets it done. Is it at John Arbonne? Might be. I can't remember. Someone will know. But anyway, it's absolutely beautiful and it doesn't feel itchy at all. It's so nice to wear up on your face. So that is my last work in progress. I'll just put that over here. Now, some of you may know that I, quite a few years ago, knitted this beautiful blanket. It was a, oh look, it's all covered in fluff. A Cafe Facet and Rowan collaboration, and it was a knit along. And all the squares are the same design but use different colours, and it was using the Rowan Pure Wool Worsted, I think it was called. I'm not sure if they actually make it anymore, but I think they may have replaced it with something very similar, just a different name. Now this gets used and used and used. In summer it just sits over the back of my chair, of our sofa, but in these cooler evenings, whenever our daughter comes to visit, and also my sister, the first thing they do is grab this and snuggle up on the couch with it. It gets used all the time. My husband sometimes puts it over his chair as well. But I've noticed a few months ago, just when our cooler nights were coming in, it was getting used a lot. My husband had it over his chair, and I noticed when he was sitting, actually it was in the morning when I was tidying it up, there was a hole, and I think it was just like a snag, and I think he might have caught it on his watch on the arms of the chair. So I knitted a little patch. Now I'm not that happy with it, but I think I did a pretty good job of matching up the stripes and things. And on the back, it's almost all felted in now. You can hardly really even see it. You can just see that might have been the stitch that broke there. But that will keep it going. And luckily I had some of that wool left. Well, last week I found another hole. So whether or not it got snagged on my sister's bracelet or on something on my daughter, or maybe a little moth flying around, I don't know. It was only a small hole, but I thought I've got to fix it before it gets a bigger one. So I just caught a couple of loose stitches on a little stitch marker till I had time to sort it. But of course, the particular colours in this area, I didn't have any left because I used a lot of them up in my COVID blanket. So I thought, well, I'll go for a contrast, as you do. And I actually quite like it. I used some leftover Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn that I had, and it was like a terracotta sort of colour with a black fleck through it. And this is how it turned out. So what you do is you thread a needle with a long piece of the yarn you're going to use, and you just insert it down here somewhere and bring it up near where the hole is. So I went a couple of rows below and a couple of stitches either side. So I brought the yarn up here, and then I used a DPN and picked up enough stitches to cover the width of the hole. I only needed 6 stitches for this particular one because I caught it before it got too big. So then you pick up those stitches, and then using this yarn that you've threaded into here, you just knit along, and then you put your needle in one of these. So maybe if you can just see this stitch here, you would put it in one side and out the other side. And then you use that yarn to purl back. And then you put it in one of these stitches, like on the next row up, down into the work and back up again, and then you've got your yarn to knit across. So you just keep doing that all the way up till you've got it long enough, and then you get another DPN and pick up the same stitches on this part so that you've got 2 DPNs all matching up nicely, and then you Kitchener stitch it. So I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. This blanket gets so much love and attention in our house. It doesn't matter how many patches it ends up with. I'm just happy that everybody loves to use it. So that's hopefully extended the life of it for quite a few more years to come. And now onto my finished object. I'm so happy with this and how it turned out. But sorry about the horrible t-shirt on under it, but I had all my clothes packed to go to Denmark, and as we're going to go next weekend now, I didn't bother to unpack. So I'm very happy with it. Now the sleeves, this is what I wanted to show you. If I had done the sleeves as were in the pattern, this, as it is up here, would have been how it went down the whole sleeve. But I decided to increase it in the same manner that Jennifer, who wrote the pattern, increases it down the side. I just increased it out so many stitches. I think it was 6 stitches either side, which gave me more fabric for my arms, and then I decreased down to the cuff. I'm really happy with how that turned out. It's actually very comfortable. I bought this beautiful brooch last time I was in Denmark for another cardigan. Pardon me. And I've ordered like antique silver clasp to use for this, but it hasn't arrived yet. The postage is a bit slow here in Australia at the moment, and it's coming from Queensland. So in the meantime, I'm just fastening it with this, which I actually think looks really nice. And when I don't have the top of my t-shirt showing here, it's pretty nice. This is a sport weight yarn, or 5-ply here in Australia, from the back room at Bendigo Woolen Mills when I was there a few years ago. It's got like a tweed, you can see the tweed fleck in it. And it's just so lovely and warm. I feel like I'm just being hugged all the time while I wear it. That's what I love about hand knits. It is like wearing a hug. So I'm so happy, and it's the perfect weight for a West Australian winter. I'm even starting to feel a bit warm in it now, but I think it's going to be 19 or 20 today, so that would be why. But it's so warm and snug, and I love, it was knit like here all the way around to here is all knit in one piece, and then you divide for the arms, and then you knit the top part backwards and forwards, and the same with the back. I can't quite remember how it was done now. And then you sew you pick up the stitches for the sleeves and then down. And I've got to say, I love a set-in sleeve. I perhaps could have just brought the shoulder up a little bit, but it doesn't matter because you need a bit of room to wear something underneath it in winter anyway. And I'm just so happy with it. I love the back, the cable work on the back. It was an easy pattern to follow, except that there are a lot of charts. So you have this front panel here. There's 2 charts for this panel here. Then there's another chart for here. And then that back panel, there's a centre chart and 2 side charts. So there's 3 charts just in that back panel. And then there's another one of these charts, which is the same as the other side. And then this side is also 2 charts, but it's different to this one because it's the reverse mirror image. So all in all, it was 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 charts. And of course, each one of those charts has a different number of rows. So you can't just read all along them and go back like that. This chart had 4 rows, and I can't remember the others. One at the centre back one I think had 20 rows, and these ones had 12 rows. So I thankfully have Knit Companion on my iPad, and I had it all on there. And the good thing about that is you can keep count of what chart you're on and highlight the rows you're on, and no matter what happens, even if your iPad runs out of power and switches everything off, the next time you turn it on and come back to it, it's all there exactly the same way you left it. So you never lose your place, which is great. So I'm so happy with how it turned out. I love the little collar. I perhaps could have even made the collar a whisker bigger, but I'm just so happy with it all. It almost looks like this side is a little bigger than that side, but I swear it's not. So this is a Jennifer Wood design, and it's the Carrenza Cardigan, and I cannot recommend her patterns highly enough. This is the second one of hers I've done now. I discovered her on Fruity Knitting, of course. Where would we be without Andrea? So I'm sorry about all the ums today. I'm just winging it a bit. I didn't write out a schedule of what I was going to talk about. But so that's my Carrenza cardigan. It's finally finished, and it's such a delight to wear it this time of year. I've been wearing it every day since I finished it. Yeah, so I don't think I've got much else to say. I'm still losing weight, which is great, and the shingles is still there. It's obviously developed into what they call post-neuralgic something or other, which is an effect of shingles that a small percentage of people get. I can't win the lottery, but I won this. But it's okay. It's being well controlled with the drugs. My doctor assures me it will eventually go, but it's just going to take a long time. I believe some people can have it for up to 2 years. I hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, just a little bit about my shop, the Jacaranda Forest. I think I opened it not long after my last podcast. I'll put the link to it down below, and I'm going to finish off with a little collage of some of the bags that are in my shop. And I have plans to put in a lot of other things, but at the moment I have a couple of orders for some bags in different colours, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to get those done first, and then the next thing I think will be some aprons for all you cooks out there. I've bought some beautiful fabrics, and I'm going to make some really nice aprons so that you don't ruin your clothes when you're cooking. Well, I think that's about it for now. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll speak to you all in about 4 weeks' time. Bye for now and happy knitting.
And I'm back again. As usual, I forgot something. I finished my Aussie Outback Koala by Alan Dart. I absolutely love him, but I don't have him anymore, so I can't show him to you. But I will insert some photos here. And if you've never knitted a toy, give one of Alan Dart's a go because his patterns are very well written. And I absolutely loved little Aussie, and I hope he's going to be very happy in his new home. And also, I just wanted to let you know that our beloved elephant at Perth Zoo, Trisha, passed away last week, and I think the whole of Perth is in mourning because Trisha was very well loved. She was, I think, they think she was the oldest living elephant in captivity. So she'd been at Perth Zoo, I think, since she was just a baby in the late 1950s. And yeah, she just got to the stage now where she just could hardly walk. She was having terrible health issues, mobility issues. So the vets at the zoo made the heartbreaking decision to euthanize her. But she had all her zookeepers around her when she passed away. So that was really lovely. Anyone who grew up in Perth will remember seeing Trisha at the zoo. So there's a little photo of Trisha right at the end. So thanks for watching and see you next time.